I am a huge Mario fan, but even I have to admit that Kong Bananza might be the best 3D platformer I've ever played in my entire life. This is a game where you will start with the idea of going into your next quest, notice something hidden below you, start smashing everything that you see in order to get there, which in itself is extremely satisfying. And somehow 3 hours will have passed. During this frenzy, you would have destroyed 90% of the level, found dozens of fossils, collected thousands of small gold nuggets, gotten enough bananas to cause a potassium overdose, and beaten a few of the puzzles that are available in each section. And all while you wonder, why is this game so much fun? I cannot really pinpoint the reason for that, but I know that there are several things combined. First, there is always a way to progress and find something interesting on every corner. Not everything will be useful or relevant, but I am proud of every single banana or special skeleton fossil that I've gotten. It also rewards exploring, since there is always something to be found on each of the worlds. Second, it is the gold. And man, I love the gold. It is impossible to find a place in a map where you will not get any gold if you smash through it. And very frequently you will get these spots which will inundate you with big chunks. Is the gold very useful? Not really. You can create bets with it in certain parts of the world, and that will replenish your lost health. You will also have to use gold to pay for other smaller things, but none of it will require the absolute abundance of this resource that you will have at any given moment. But the same way that I love collecting coins in any Mario game for no particular reason, watching the number go up here is oddly satisfying. It really makes my brain feel happy. Reason number 3, DK feels extremely overpowered. He's a big gorilla, and I definitely feel his power, just like a gorilla in real life. Bear in mind that I am not a zoologist and I have no idea of gorillas or, to be honest, any other animal. DK can destroy many things in one hit, and the enemies generally don't pose a real threat. I have nothing against games where you have to grind and suffer to be able to reach the top, but I'm happy that Nintendo hasn't forgotten that pressing 2 buttons and transforming into a bigger Kong that will destroy everything even harder is also a valid way to make something fun. And finally, there is the pacing. So far, everything that I've said is awesome, but it would have been too repetitive after a few hours without any meaningful spin to it. Thankfully, the Kong Bananza keeps things fresh. As you get deeper into the world, you will encounter different biomes and platforming challenges that will require a bit more finesse to navigate. There are also bananas locked away in areas or special zones that are difficult to reach, and the more you advance, the more challenges you will encounter. Nothing that is too advanced or too difficult, but enough to spice things up. All of this means that even though I really wanted to go through Kong Bananza as fast as I could in order to have this review done in a timely fashion, I often found myself spending hours getting more bananas just for the sake of it and destroying everything that I saw just in case there was a hidden fossil somewhere that I couldn't see with my spidey senses. So as you might guess, I absolutely had an amazing time playing this game and I absolutely adore it. I was so hyped to talk about it with everyone that before making this video I wrote a quick review on my Substack. You can follow me there for some quick reviews, first impressions and some other stuff that maybe will not make it into a video. It's completely free. I will leave a link in the description below. And besides this, I also made a post on the Nintendo Switch subreddit which led to some interesting discussions about this game, and I want to bring a few of them here because you might be wondering the same thing. The most repeated question was how much of this game is actually just smashing things. And the truth is that it's a pretty big chunk of it. There is definitely variety in what you do. Some environments force you to look for alternative paths to get to a certain point, or do not allow you to cross some areas, which forces you to do something else than just pressing the Y button 80,000 times and finishing the level. But smashing things is definitely a way to progress in many cases. So if that doesn't look fun to you at all, then this might not be a good game for you. Some people also asked about the difficulty, and yes, this game is pretty easy. I would say similar to Mario Odyssey. Reaching the end of the game is very simple, and most of the moves that you need to progress, or in this case bananas, can be found just there in front of you. There are bosses and special enemies that can be a little bit tougher, but nothing that I would consider particularly difficult. The challenging part comes at the completionist level. I don't really 100% the games that I play, so I might not be the best person to say this, but I have encountered a few bananas during my gameplay that I tried to get and I couldn't, so I just gave up. So I do think that there is definitely a challenge there. But if what you want is just having some good difficulty level during the first gameplay and don't care too much about getting everything, then you might be disappointed. And then there is a whole discussion about what really is a platformer. I call it a platformer since Nintendo also defines it that way, even though it's not really similar to, let's say, Mario Odyssey. In Kong Bananza, you do jump places, climb, and have some platformy sections, but it has a different vibe to any other title that I've ever played, which is why it also feels so fresh and original. I would define it as 30% platformer, 70% action-adventure. Now let's talk about the other big animal in the room, the performance. Nintendo said that at some point during the development, they had to choose between allowing complete destruction of each of the levels or a stable frame rate. Obviously, they chose the former, which I believe is the right decision, but it also made me a little bit scared about how bad the performance was going to be. During the Switch 2 experience, I had 20 minutes or so with the game, and I already noticed a few frame drops here and there. Without a huge amount of time between there and the game's release, I doubted the situation was gonna get much better. Thankfully though, Kong Bananza runs pretty well. Granted, I've only played it on handheld mode, so the experience might be different while docked. Notice what I said though, it runs pretty well, but it is not perfect. Whenever I open the map, it struggles for a second. Also, a couple of times I caused high levels of destruction thanks to some explosives, and the Switch 2 didn't really appreciate it. For the rest though, it runs quite smoothly. Having said that, it's kind of funny that Nintendo has released its new shiny console after the previous one is known for struggling with performance basically its whole life. And a month into it, with the second first-party AAA game that they release, we are already having some, even though very minor, performance problems. I have a lot to say about this, but I will leave it for another time. I don't want to get into it right now. Maybe I'll write something on Substack. We are in the year 2025, which means that you cannot really enjoy something on the internet without being called a fanboy or a sellout. So in order to prevent this, let me talk about a couple of things that I didn't really like too much about the game. The camera can get as lost as me in a gardening center. It makes sense that it cannot really keep up while I'm 200 meters deep and smashing left and right. But it happens very often that you don't really see yourself, and if you try to look at what you're doing, it just doesn't really work. I don't know what the solution to this problem would be, but it can get so annoying that some people have actually pointed out that it makes them sick. So bear in mind, if you're already watching this footage and you're not really liking too much of what is going on, just maybe don't buy this one. And the upgrade system also feels kind of pointless. I haven't mentioned it yet, but for every 5 bananas that you get, you will also get 1 upgrade point. Some of the upgrades are basic but nice. More health, more ease to destroy certain environments, your radar showing what is hidden farther away, but others are not that useful. I don't need to increase the duration of Bananzas, since I can basically activate it all of the time due to the gold being available everywhere. DK is already powerful enough as is, there is no need to make it even stronger. I reached a point in the middle of the game where I already got everything that I wanted, so getting new perks wasn't as excited as it should be. It is nice that there is a specific purpose to keep collecting bananas, other than just feeling good about yourself, but I would have loved if these perks were a bit more impactful or necessary. Still, none of these issues were bad enough to make too much of a negative dent on what I think is one of the best, most innovative games Nintendo has ever made. Apparently, the people who made this game are the same people who made Mario Odyssey, and so far they are having an amazing time. So I'm really wondering what they're gonna do next. I hope that we don't have to wait too long to see it.